We had a normal night. Pizza, TV, lights off by midnight. Nothing out of the ordinary. I lived with Mallory, my wife. Second floor bedroom, no kids, no pets, no noises. I had stopped doing night shifts to spend more time at home. She still worked full-time downtown. That Friday was rare. We were both home, both exhausted. We barely spoke before passing out. At 2:47 a.m., she screamed. Not like she saw a spider or had a nightmare. This was louder, raw. I bolted up and turned to her. She was sitting up, clutching her phone like it burned, breathing fast. I asked what happened. She didn't talk, just handed me the screen. There was a photo, taken on Snapchat. The account was called John. I looked closer. It was us, in bed. The covers, the pillows, the timestamp, taken minutes ago, from the foot of the bed. Someone had been in our room while we slept. I didn't say anything. I got up and went for the bat I kept behind the door. I told Mallory to stay put and started checking the house room by room. The windows were still locked. Nothing broken. No signs of forced entry. I ran through the downstairs cameras. Nothing. No motion alerts. Either he never got picked up or he was never on them. Mallory sent a message back to the account. "Who are you?" His reply came immediately. "John." She asked again, "What do you want?" He didn't answer that one. Instead, he replied, "Do you need help calling the cops?" That last message shut us both up. I didn't know if it was a threat or a joke, but it didn't matter. I called the police. While we waited, Mallory locked the bedroom door and sat in the corner checking every sound. I stood at the top of the stairs with the bat in hand, heart pounding. 20 minutes later, the cops arrived. Searched the house, checked the locks, went over the footage again. No entry, no man, no explanation. They logged the incident and left, told us to stay alert. That was it. It didn't feel like closure, just a pause. 3 weeks passed. No messages, no photos. It was almost like it had been a dream. I deleted the app. Mallory changed her number. We started to relax, but I still kept the bat close. I didn't feel like it was over. And I was right. The second time started with a flash. Not a loud sound, not a noise from outside, just a camera flash in the dark. A quick burst of light that hit the wall and faded. I opened my eyes. Mallory was already awake, phone in hand, screen lighting up her face. She looked at me with her mouth open. She didn't have to speak. I knew. She showed me her phone. Another photo from John. This time, it was from the hallway. Our door was open. The angle was different, wider. He had been standing just outside, watching. The timestamp said 2:51 a.m. That was right now. Then we heard it. A mechanical sound, low and solid. Not loud enough to echo, but close. A metallic click, unmistakable. Someone had just cocked a shotgun somewhere in the house. Neither of us moved. My arms went stiff. I looked into the hallway. Nothing visible, just black. No footsteps, no shadow, just silence. Mallory whispered that she was texting him. I told her not to. She ignored me. "What do you want? Leave us alone." He replied with a photo. Another one. This time it was us sitting up, from behind us, taken seconds ago. My jaw locked. He was inside, still, close enough to touch us. She dropped the phone. I picked it up. The next message said, "Don't turn around." Another photo arrived immediately. It was her holding the phone. The image had no flash. The only light came from the phone itself. He was behind her when he took it, inches away. Mallory started crying, not loud, just small, terrified sobs. I whispered not to move. My mind was racing. I thought maybe we could bolt to the bathroom and lock the door, but another message came in. Turn around, slowly. Don't look at me. That was it, just that. We turned. Our bodies moved like we were tied together. Slow, shaking, afraid to blink. We didn't see him at first. Then my eyes adjusted. He was standing by the wall. No mask, just a man. Plain, average height, thin. But his face didn't match. It looked melted, like parts had been broken and glued back together the wrong way. The smile on him didn't belong to a human being. He stepped closer, not fast, just steady. Mallory squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. She whispered something to him, something desperate, but I couldn't process it. He raised something shiny. I froze. She gasped and whispered he had a gun to her head. I didn't move. I couldn't see her clearly, but I believed her. Mallory broke down. She said he could kill her, just not me. Said I had done nothing. Begged like she was bargaining with the devil. And then he left. We heard him walk out, step by step down the stairs. Mallory wanted to stay there. She said it was over, but I needed to know. I picked up the bat again and crept into the hallway. She begged me not to go. I didn't answer. At the top of the stairs, I stopped, listened. Nothing. I kept going. The second I reached the landing, he slammed into me like a train. No sound, no warning. He had been waiting just beneath the stairs. I hit the floor. The bat rolled away. He landed on top of me and went for my throat. His hands were rough, shaking, but strong. His face inches from mine. That awful grin stretched too far across his face. I couldn't breathe. My arms thrashed. He didn't flinch. Mallory screamed again. She ran towards us and started hitting him, scratching at his face. He didn't react, didn't even turn, just kept squeezing. Then suddenly, he stopped. He got off me, slowly, calm, like it was all a part of the show. He pulled out his phone and turned it to Mallory. One button on screen. He pressed it. The same shotgun sound came from the phone speaker. It was fake. It had always been fake. He never had a weapon. Mallory froze. I sat up coughing. He looked at us one last time, smiled, and walked to the front door. He didn't run, didn't speak. He just vanished into the dark. We didn't follow. We didn't try. The cops came after we called again. They checked everything. He wasn't in the house. Nothing had been stolen. Cameras had gone black again, just like last time. They couldn't explain it. They left us with their cards and vague reassurances. We moved out the next week. Different city, new devices, burned the old phones, changed our names online, started over. Sometimes we hear a sound at night, a flash outside the window, a noise that might be a step. We don't sleep easily anymore. What could we say? He wasn't trying to kill us. He didn't want money. He wanted control. One night, one memory we'd never forget. It's been almost 6 months. We're still together, but something broke. You can't come back from something like that. Not really. Mallory flinches when she hears a camera shutter. I can't be near mirrors in the dark. We're alive, but we're not the same. He never came back, never messaged again. It's like he crossed our name off some invisible list, like we were just part of his game. I still check the cameras every night, still sleep with that bat next to the bed. I know he's out there, waiting, watching someone else. One night. That's all he needs. I was carrying 2 bags of groceries, my hand hurting from the plastic cutting into my fingers. My son Evan was walking beside me, holding the cereal box I almost didn't let him buy. It was getting late, almost 7. The streets were still lit, but the sun had dropped low enough to start casting long, ugly lines across the buildings. We lived on the 2nd floor of a small building, one of those where the entrance leads straight into a stairwell. Evan ran ahead, as usual, laughing like an idiot and climbing the stairs 2 at a time. I followed slower, feeling my knees starting to complain. I pulled out the keys from my hoodie pocket and unlocked the front gate. I stepped inside and turned to close the door behind me. That's when I saw him, right outside the gate. An old man just standing there, gray coat down to his ankles, hands hanging by his sides. His face was stiff, his eyes wide open, locked on me. There was something dead in his expression, like he wasn't there at all. I froze for a second, not because I was scared, but because my brain couldn't place what the hell I was looking at. Then I yelled. I saw my neighbor Tom watering his plants across the driveway. I screamed for him, pointed behind me. But when Tom took a step forward, the man turned around, slowly, calmly, and started walking down the sidewalk, disappearing around the corner without looking back. I checked the locks 3 times that night. I didn't tell Evan anything, just said the man was lost. He believed me. I didn't. I stood by the window for hours, lights off, waiting to see if he came back. He didn't, but I couldn't shake the way he looked at me. Not like a stranger, like someone who already knew what I looked like. The next day, I kept expecting to see him again. At the store, near the school, on the street. Every time I turned a corner, I expected that coat, that face. But it didn't happen. Not during the day. That night I woke up at 3:17 a.m. No reason, no sound. I just sat up, heartbeat kicking fast like I'd been running. I stayed there listening. Nothing. Then I noticed it. The hallway was brighter than usual. I stepped out of bed and walked toward the light. The kitchen light was on. I never leave it on, not even during storms. I crept down the hallway. The closer I got, the more something inside me started to recoil, like my body was trying to push me backwards before I saw what was there. But I kept going. He was in my house. The old man. He was standing in the kitchen, like he belonged there. And Evan, my son, was sitting on the floor next to him, barefoot, in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes like he had just woken up. The old man's hand was on Evan's head, stroking his hair slowly, like petting a dog. His other hand held a small, thin knife, pointed straight at my kid's chest. I didn't scream. I didn't run. I couldn't. I just stood there. I knew if I made the wrong move, he'd stab him before I could blink. He looked at me and smiled. It wasn't warm. It wasn't cold either. It was empty, like he was doing something routine, something he had done before. He's ready now, he said with a soft tone so it made my skin crawl. I've been waiting for him. He wants to go. We're going to a better place, with lights and toys and colors. Somewhere clean, somewhere sweet. He kept talking to Evan like he was telling him a bedtime story. His voice was calm, not whispering, just low. Every word sounded rehearsed, like part of some ritual. Evan didn't move. He didn't understand. He was still too sleepy. I took a slow step forward, and the man immediately raised the knife. His expression didn't change, but I saw the way his fingers tightened. Don't run, he said without looking at me. If you follow, you'll make things worse. You don't want that. He'll scream, he'll bleed. You don't want to see that. I begged. I didn't care if I sounded pathetic. I pleaded with him to leave my son, take the money, anything. I told him I wouldn't move. I wouldn't follow. I just wanted Evan to be okay. He turned to me, still stroking my son's head. You're doing well, Mom. Keep being smart. Then he stood and Evan followed, quiet, obedient, like he was hypnotized. They walked to the door. I followed, staying just far enough that he wouldn't feel threatened. My hands were trembling, my feet were cold against the floor tiles. The door opened, and they stepped outside. There was a van waiting, rusty, dirty white, no license plate. I ran to the phone and called Tom. No answer. Called again, nothing. Then I called the police. Tried to stay calm, but my voice was cracking. Gave them the address. Told them he was taking my son. I dropped the phone and ran outside. The van door was open. He was placing Evan inside like luggage. No rush, like he had all the time in the world. He walked to the driver's seat. That's when I moved. I charged at him, slammed into his side with everything I had. We both hit the pavement. The knife slid across the concrete. He let out a sound, half growl, half breath, and grabbed my throat with one hand, clawed at my face with the other. His strength wasn't normal. I fought to get him off, but every time I pushed him, he pushed back harder. He slammed my head into the ground. My vision blurred. He straddled me and started hitting my ribs over and over. Then he reached for the knife. My heart stopped. I rolled away, but not fast enough. He straddled me again and pressed the blade against my collarbone. His eyes didn't look human anymore. There was something animal in his face now. He raised the knife, elbow high. I screamed. A body crashed into us. Tom. He tackled the man with so much force that they rolled across the ground. Tom didn't say anything. He just started swinging. Fist after fist. The old man fought back, clawing at Tom's face, biting his arm. But Tom didn't stop. He pinned him and smashed his head into the pavement, again and again. Blood was everywhere. I crawled to the van, ripped the door open, and pulled Evan out. He was crying now, fully awake, confused. I held him so tight he couldn't breathe, but I didn't let go. I watched as Tom held the man down. The old bastard was still kicking, scratching, making these high-pitched noises like a dying animal. The sirens hit at full volume. Police cars skidded to a stop. Flashlights, yelling, guns drawn. They dragged Tom off the man. He was still hitting. They pulled the old man up, bleeding from the face, coughing and smiling. Even with broken teeth and a crushed nose, he smiled at me like we shared a secret. They cuffed him. He didn't resist, didn't speak, just stared at me, blood leaking down his chin as they shoved him into the back of the car. I watched until the door closed. They took our statements, took photos, marked the area. I sat on the curb with Evan in my lap, a blanket around both of us. My arms were shaking. My ribs ached every time I breathed. Tom sat nearby with a busted lip and a swollen eye. He looked worse than I felt. He told me he missed the call, but something woke him up. Said he had a bad feeling. He walked to the window and saw the van. That's when he ran over. That's when he saved our lives. The cop standing next to us said we were lucky. I didn't feel lucky. They identified the man as Albert Franks, 74 years old, homeless for years, arrested multiple times for trespassing and attempted abductions. No convictions, no family. He had been drifting around the city for months, watching people, waiting. They said we wouldn't have to see him again. He was locked up. No parole, no visitors, just a number in a cell. I moved 3 weeks later. Couldn't sleep in that apartment. Couldn't hear the stairs creak without seeing him. Tom helped us move. He stuck around. Slowly, we got closer. Not because of what happened, just because he was there. Real, solid. We started seeing each other quietly. No big speeches, just comfort. Evan still asks about the man sometimes. Says he saw him in a dream. I lie and tell him he's gone forever, but I'm not pretty sure if I believe that myself.
This is an incident that has profoundly affected me psychologically as a person, and I am still recovering from the trauma. It has really uprooted my life. It has been really challenging to recover from this. A man, according to the reports, killed a woman. So far, we have 3 as opposed to only 1. Where I was, they said that the man had killed them. The man was unknown. On the same road I'm on now, they claim the man came back last week and killed Lung Wai Sum, a young woman who was just 17 years old. They claimed that a man, a serial murderer, waited in the dark to strike at unsuspecting victims while driving his automobile along the road. At home, maybe a few hours ago, I was listening to the news when I heard this on the radio. I rushed down the street in an effort to get home before midnight, since danger was nearby. I wished more than anything that I had taken a different route, rather than going down that one. But I did, forcing me to run through miles and miles of dense green plants along the seemingly unending road. As I walked along the lonely road, my heart was thumping with adrenaline, and sweat beads glistened on my eyebrows. The only vehicles on the road were the few that passed by once every 30 minutes. The other drivers must have learned of the news earlier than I did. It had been described as a dangerous area, especially for a woman like me. So I knew I had to get out of there quickly. I understood that being a woman made my situation scarier. I moved through the wide road for minutes, using nothing but the sound of my legs brushing against the gritty tar of the road. As the minutes went on, night descended upon the road, making it darker and more frightening. There was almost a sense that something would attack me by leaping out of the unruly, twisted bush. Suddenly, the weather started to shift, and thunderclaps could be heard. I felt a lot of fear. There was nowhere I could hide along the side of the road, as it started to rain severely before I even realized it was happening. I walked across to the road and started waving my arms there for assistance. The murderous occurrence was no longer at the back of my thoughts. The rain was really hitting me, and all I wanted to do was get out of it. Fortunately, a car came to a stop, and I quickly raced to the other window to speak with the driver. Fortunately, it was a taxi driver. "Good evening. Please, would you..." He cut me off before I could even finish. He said,
"This is already darkness. It is no longer evening."
I gave a nod. "I'm sorry, but please, I'm genuinely stranded here, and I need your help to get home. I'm being brutally beaten by the rain." He let me in, so I unlocked the door and jumped inside, because he did not appear to be a threat in any way, and was probably only trying to be helpful. I was surprised to see a woman inside, which made me feel secure. We exchanged pleasantries before continuing. I replied with a broad smile and a twinkle in my eye. "Well, thank you. I nearly believed you wouldn't ever stop. My name is June. When I heard about the serial killer, I don't know what I would have done to leave this place, so I'm pleased you stopped to help me." A few minutes later, I noticed that the speed of the car was increasing, and all the car doors were locked instantly. I became suspicious, asking him why he was speeding too fast and why he locked the door of the car. He did not answer. I then asked again, thinking he did not hear me at first, but he still kept quiet. My heart beats fast, just like the heart that wants to leave its position. The lady beside me kept on pressing her phone, as she had an earpiece on. When I tapped her to bring awareness to what was going on, she did not bother to listen to me either, as she was seriously busy with her phone. I began to think of ways to escape the car. The more I tried to think, the more my brain just scattered, as my whole body system was not settled. An idea immediately came to my brain. The idea was to call someone on my cell phone. I immediately dialed the call, and the man stopped the car suddenly, facing me, and trying to get the phone off me. The other lady was just looking at us and trying to figure out what was going on. She took her purse and dropped her transport fee on the carpet in the car and was about to leave. To her surprise, she tried to open the car, but it was locked. I could see the fear on her face. In order to be free from the struggle I had with the driver, I had to fake my death. He thought I was dead, as he left and went to the other lady and strangled her till death with an electric wire. He then came out of the car and threw our dead bodies out under the rain. I was just so lucky. He first carried the other lady's dead body inside a building. Immediately, he entered the building. I stood up and began to run for my dear life. I wonder what he would have done when he came out of the building and did not see me on the floor. I was happy and at the same time sad. I was happy because I made it alive, and also sad because I had a bad experience. I had to find a hideout until the next morning. I was sincerely beaten by the rain. It was the next morning, and I found my way back home as I was the only one who lived alone. I took my bath and took care of myself. It was so scarce to leave my home without reporting to the police officers, so I would not be found by the man. I went to a social media platform to see what was going on. To my surprise, I saw the driver, who almost killed me, posting pictures and videos of his victims, even filming himself performing an act of necrophilia with his fourth victim, who eventually happened to be the lady that was with me in the car. I was really glad I wasn't the fifth person, as I wept bitterly. On August 17th, 1982, he was arrested. His name was Lom, generally known as the Rainy Night Butcher, because several of his attacks occurred during inclement weather. He was taken into custody by plainclothes officer. At a Kodak store, he made an effort to develop pictures of one of his dismembered victims. When he went back to pick up the images, the police were waiting for him, since the shop's manager had called the police and given them the go-ahead. When questioned, Lom initially claimed that the pictures belonged to a friend of his who worked on a ship and would meet him shortly. However, when the man did not show up, the police accompanied Lom to his parents' first-floor flat on Keachal Street and conducted a search there. In the bathroom he and his brother shared, the police discovered an old ammunition box that was filled with pornography, further images of body parts, videotapes, and numerous Tupperware containers with women's genitalia. The victims he killed, Chain Fung Lan, female, age 22, was found in 7 separate pieces in the Shingmoon River, New Territories. Chan Wah Kit, female, age 31, was found in a rice bag near Tai Hung Road, Hong Kong Island. Lu Song Wan, female, age 29, was found in a rice bag near Ta Hung Road, Hong Kong Island. Long Wan Sum, female, age 17, was found in a rice bag near Tai Hung Road, Hong Kong Island. Lom was found guilty of 4 counts of murder and given a death penalty by hanging sentence on April 8, 1983, following a protracted 3-week trial with a 7-person jury. In accordance with customs, up until the death penalty was abolished in Hong Kong in 1993, Lom's sentence was commuted to life in prison on August 29, 1984. At Shek Peak Prison, he has the highest level of security. He is currently serving a life sentence. Lom revealed to psychiatrist Dr. William Green that he devoured part of the intestine of one of the victims, and that his motivation was not primarily sexual, but rather that God instructed him to kill the victims, according to Lom.